Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dogman Sasquatch Oklahoma Encounters. My name is Lance Hightower, one of the Cryptid brothers, and I'll be your host for this episode. Wow, what a week here in Tulsa. Recently we had a tornado touchdown in Midtown Tulsa along I-44. It was estimated to be an F2 from what the news stations had reported. It caused a lot of damage at some of the franchise restaurants and buildings, while people were actually eating inside the restaurants. So there was some injuries. My family and I are in a neighborhood that we were in the path on the southeast portion of Tulsa, but fortunately the tornado never touched down in our neighborhood, but did a little bit of damage touching down southeast of here, knocking down trees and fences and blowing a lot of garbage everywhere. Today as I speak here, it's sunny and people are cleaning up the aftermath. A lot of trees are being cut and everything is being hauled away. But fortunately, there was no fatalities, as I said, injuries. So we're on the mend here. That's what we're kind of famous for, is putting things back and putting things back together and moving on with our lives. So I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. It's always good to get back here behind the mic here in a studio. We recently moved my office to my home, so I'm conducting this episode and future episodes from my home studio. So this is why there's been a little bit of delay. But today what we're going to do is follow up with Roger from episode 12, who had some very interesting encounters, tapping on the window of his home and sounds that reverberated through the walls and vibrated his chest. Well, he has an update for us of what he saw one evening while setting out on his porch. I want to say that there are some new things coming with the channel. We have a new website that will be built here soon. It's been a little bit slow. I'm due to moving my office. But with the website, we're going to have some really cool features that you definitely won't want to miss. Some of the coolest items that you've ever seen, custom, one of a kind, that will be in our store. And we have some other big plans coming that I don't want to give it away yet. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do it this year, but definitely next year it's in the works. Also, I want to remind you guys, the Honabi Bigfoot Conference is coming up October 6th and 7th. We're going to be down there with the brothers, and can't wait to go down there and meet some of you folks and to listen to some of the good information and some of the encounters down there. You need to go ahead and get online at the Honabi Bigfoot Festival and to get your tickets and campsites if you're going to bring a tent or an RV. So we always want to say this. Last night, somewhere in Oklahoma and in many states, multiple locations, someone had an encounter. Today they're waking up, they're confused, they're bewildered, shock and awe of what they saw. They never knew anything like this existed. They thought it was just an old wives' tale or folklore, but they're very scared. They don't want to tell anyone. And it kind of reminds me of recently, over the weekend, we went out to see JC from the last episode, and we went on site, and he wanted to show us exactly where he saw this Sasquatch walk in front of him, 25 to 30 feet. And you could see it in his eyes, and you could hear it in his voice. He still was bewildered and shook up from what he saw. He said, "Lance, I've been the biggest skeptic, and now I'm not. I will tell people emphatically, point blank, these things are real." And he also said, "I will always take a firearm now. Not that I'll use it. It just gives me a sense of security." And so we went to see JC, and he was very comforted that we went. For the first time, he walked his property from the front to the back. Myself, Wiley, Dave, and Bill went. JC brought his grandson, and we had a really good time. We walked the property, very rugged, very remote. He had 2 deer feeders there. We put out some game cams, so maybe we can get something on some footage. So that would be fantastic. If we did, I would show it on our show. But someone last night had an encounter like JC, and JC told us, "Lance, the people out here that live out here, if they had an encounter, good luck trying to get any information out of them. Because when people see something like this," he goes, "just like I did, I go through questions. Do I need to tell anyone? Is someone going to laugh at me? And I just don't want anybody on my property." So We believe that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have seen these things, but very few people actually come forward. But it's very comforting to know that you're not alone when other people have had very similar encounters. You're in a unique community, a community that does not judge. So if you or yourself have seen something bipedal or on all fours, quadruped, that's hairy, that you couldn't understand, it was at the wrong place and you were at the wrong timing at that place, give us a call. We'd like to hear what happened. We don't have to know all the details about you. You can be, your name and everything can be strictly confidential. We just want to know what happened, where it happened, and how it's changed your view now of what's out there. They can call our toll-free number, 1-866-306-8085, and we'd love to hear from you. And we've also been known to give some assistance. We might just come visit and see how we can help you. So before we get going here, I want to recognize you guys, the subbers, for without you, we would not have a show, and we recognize that. We're always trying to improve the show, and we appreciate your comments. We have Shannon Martin, I Am Skeletor, Matthias Lopez, Elisa Steady, Anthony Moonman, Daniel Asegunda, Derek Peace, Sincere One, Angel Gasca, Craig Porthunder, Jeff Legassi, John Villanueva, Doug Clark, Big Smoke, Doug Divine, and Rick Carter. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you, and thank you for sharing with all your friends out there across the country. We want to get to Roger tonight. And Roger, again, great guy. We had a good conversation the last time we had Roger on there. He's a truck driver. He lives with his wife and grandkids. He lives in a beautiful part of North Carolina. He has some neighbors, but they're kind of scattered out. There's some space with the neighbors, a few acres in between. He lives in an area that has a lot of animal farms, and he's a hard worker. He's gone from the house often. He knows now, based on what he told me on this follow-up, that he actually saw what has been potentially tapping on his windows and what's been watching him. He's concerned because he has some grandkids they're raising, and he just said, Lance, I don't let my grandkids play outside by themselves. I tell my wife, you've got to keep your eye on them. So anytime the grandkids are outside, there's someone always outside watching. So let's go ahead and tune in here what Roger had to follow up and tell me of what he saw one evening while sitting on the front porch.
So yeah, people think you crazy when you tell them about Bigfoot stuff, but I could care less. If I see something, I believe it. If I find something unusual, I do my own thinking. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's you know what you know, you saw what you saw, and
I was thinking, I was telling my wife about this. Bigfoot has got a lot of people snowballed. So if you live in the city and you're a high-rise apartment, Bigfoot ain't going to be tapping on your windows or tapping on the side of your house or leaving tracks across your yard. They're not going. He's not going to be in your neighborhood. But if you live like me, out in the country, and for the mountains, and they got mountain lions and black panthers and coyotes and wolves and now I'm finding out Bigfoot and ain't no telling what all else out here, and it's a whole different ball game living in the city.
Oh, totally. Yeah, there's honestly no comparison whatsoever.
And so people that live in the city, you tell them, I seen Bigfoot. They'll look at you like I can feel sorry for you, and they'll kind of smile, and but like I say, I could care less. There's a lot of people don't believe Jesus Christ, the Son of God, but I do. A lot of people don't believe it. There's going to be a day of judgment. People are going to be cast into hell. Some going to go to heaven. Some going to go to hell. A lot of people don't believe that stuff. I do. But I tell you what, I seen that thing. Like it's been 3 years now. I found the tracks, and it all started when I found the tracks. And up until that point, I found them tracks. I was, I watched the Finding Bigfoot show, and I watched stuff about Bigfoot and all that, and I was kind of open-minded to it, but I'd never seen nothing like that. Now I am, I'm late. I was almost 60 then, I'd never seen nothing like that. So, you know, and I never even seen a black panther till 2013. You know, out here in the wild. But you know, when after seeing that black panther, and my brother seen the mountain lion, and there's mountain lions up here around where I live. Would I go camping and lay down in a tent and on the ground and sleep like a baby? No, how could I when I know something's about to be having me for lunch? You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, we were just talking. Wiley Dave is with me here, Roger, and so he's listening in too. Now, what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, Roger, just to kind of remind everybody that's listening here, where you live in North Carolina, you had an episode in which you were in bed and you had you've been having a series of taps out on your window, and you had a growl that came through the walls of your home, and it shook your insides. You said it vibrated your lungs.
It resonated, vibrated right in the center of my chest where your solar plexus is. It vibrated, and it sure did.
Yeah. An amazing event that happened. I can see where that would kind of shake you up a little bit. And you've been having...
you're thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you also had a series of tracks around your house. And you told me that these tracks are still present to this day.
Yeah, I've got one that is. Yeah, I've got one that's still there. I guess that sucker was so heavy. You know, the toe prints and stuff dissipated for it's rained several times. But this one track has been on the ground for a couple of months. And it was just mashed in the ground there. And it just still, the formation of where it stepped still there. And
amazing.
And I measured it when I found it. And it was 15 long and 7 wide.
Wow.
See, the first set of tracks I found in 2014, that's how big they were. So it's probably the same one
just
coming around here. But
well, and
I'm the kind of person, you know, I like to be prepared. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I like to be prepared, and I don't deer hunt. Right now, I ain't got nothing against it. If I wanted to eat a deer, I'd go shoot me one. But you know, I don't care nothing about it. But that's the only way I'd kill one if I wanted to eat one or something. But now I'd shoot the varmints and stuff and anything like that, you know. But we found there's a big bear up here. I mean, there's a bear cub out here behind the house one night sniffing at the grill. My wife seen it. And where there's a baby, there's a mama. And so all I had at that time was a pellet rifle. I thought I better step up my game. So man, I started getting me some firearms, and I got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and now I pretty well got my gun cabinet like I like it. And then this thing started coming along.
To update everybody here, we've kind of stayed in contact since the first episode, off and on, and you called me to tell me something new to update from the last time. I think it's very profound. If you don't mind to just tell every detail that few nights ago.
Okay. Well, let me state this, because I've seen people posted on there the last time we was on. They won't know where I was from, what part of North Carolina, what. I don't mind telling it. I'll get that out of the way real quick. My name is Roger. I'm from Mount Airy, North Carolina. It's the hometown of Andy Griffin. And my mama's dated him before. And I'm presently 61 years old, and I'm a truck driver by trade. I run local, a tractor trailer. And, you know, so you want me to go ahead and tell what happened here the other week?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. It was June 18th. It was a Sunday afternoon, about 7 or 7:30. And it's, I went outside. I had got a bunch of rifles. And I grabbed one of my 270, went out there and sat on the back steps. And I wasn't going to shoot none. I was just looking through my scope, playing around with you know, looking across. There's a big cow pasture at the end of my property, and big patch of woods on the left. And there's woods all around us. I was just sitting out there looking through my scope, zeroing it in up and down and looking. And then when I dropped my gun downward, I kind of looked down, you know. And then when I raised my head up, my line of vision was towards, when I raised my head up, I was looking right towards the woods. And there was an opening right there, a tree on the left, a tree on the right, and there was an opening to there kind of lit up because the woods, that's about the only spot that you can see back in there because the rest of it is thick. And when I raised my head up, I seen something black. All right, now the leaves on the trees were real thick, big leaves, real thick, and they were about 6 foot off the ground. And I'm right 6 foot myself. And so there was something standing next to the tree there, or close to the tree, and his upper part of his body was up in the vegetation of the leaves and stuff, and I couldn't see his head, his shoulders, or his chest. But from the top of, like, from the abdomen, the stomach down to the legs, I seen it, and the thing was black. And just as I raised my head, I seen its left leg come up, and its knee come up as high as my waist, or maybe a little higher. And he extended his foot out, and when he planted that left foot, one glide, he was in behind that tree, completely hid. And I couldn't see his arms; they weren't protruding out or out in front or behind him. I used my rangefinder to see how far away he was, and it was 110 yards. So he had his arms down by his side, and he was so black at that distance, everything just blended in. But when he lifted that knee up and walked like a man and extended that foot out, when he planted that foot, he just slid in behind that tree with one stroke. And his legs was as big around as a telephone pole. And so that was it. That was just a real brief sighting. And it was like, I seen that, and just as soon as I seen it, I threw my scope up right on that tree. I seen him go behind. I was zeroing it in. For about 10 minutes, I watched it. I just held it on, watching for the thing to move or come out behind it. But he never did. Well, my bullets is in the house, but can't shoot on that land. That's not mine. I could get in trouble. And so I just sat there a while and watched and never did see him no more. And in my mind, I think back on seeing it. It was just a real brief thing, but I seen it, and it's like my mind. It's hard to believe what I seen, but I seen it. But like you told me, Lance, something's been making these tracks around here. They ain't making themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Well, I think it's interesting to note, you hit on something I think is very interesting, Roger. I think it's interesting to note that you also have some children at your house.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you mind just...
Yeah, I've got 2 little kids that I got custody of them. And, I have a daughter that's already grown. Like I say, I'm 61. But I got 2 little kids I'm taking custody of, and it's just one of them things, just had something fell in my lap, and I had to do it. I had to man up and do it, and I'm glad I did. But I got 2 little kids, a little boy and a little girl. Little boy's 8, little girl's 7. And we have a really big yard, and they run around the evening and play and stuff, ride their bikes and stuff. And, I've watched a lot of videos on this Bigfoot stuff, and like they're attracted to kids, attracted to women, and stuff like that. And, I got to think, this thing must be watching my kids. Mm-hmm. Because most of the time when it comes around of a night and it's fooling around, it comes late at night, it taps on the house, and I had something scratch on the window a while back. I told you about that in the last episode, something scratching on my window.
Right. And
the window 9 foot off the ground. And scratching on my neighbor's window, and he goes out there with his pistol with his underwear on 1:30 in the morning. He'd done it twice at his house. And so he usually comes around late at night. But this, now, it was in the edge of the wood line, and it has to be watching my kids play. So,
well, it's definitely
like
not
I said
out of the question.
I like being prepared, you know?
Absolutely. It's definitely not out of the question because you've listened to enough episodes as myself and my brothers and Wiley Dave. Kids, sometimes because they're playing, they're happy, they're joyful, they're out and just kind of screaming and laughing, that tends to be an attractant. Yeah, so, you know, we talked more specifics a few days ago on, you know, keeping those kids within eye distance, making sure they're always chaperoned.
I told my wife, I said, you know, I work long hours driving tractor and I don't have a certain time to get in of eating, but I'm home every night, home on weekends. I said, look, these youngins, I told her about it. She's seen one before. She's seen a Bigfoot before. And I told her, I said, look, these youngins out playing in the yard, don't take your eyes off of them. That's what I told her. But I've got some more stuff to tell you. I just did, since I talked to you the other day.
Yes.
As a friend of mine, I won't name his name. I won't name his business. He owns a business here in Mount Airy. And I bought guns off of him, and I was over there Saturday. I talked to him Saturday. And he told me, he says, he's got a Bigfoot hanging around his house. He said, Roger, he says, me and my wife sit out there every night, and we listen to that thing scream. He says, the most ungodly scream you ever heard. I said, it's a kind of a long, drawn-out scream. He said, yeah. He said, it breaks limbs, and it throws logs. Throws logs, and he said, just be busting limbs, tearing them up, screams. And that's what that is. And he's found tracks out there. I told him, I said, you got a Bigfoot. But, you know,
is he throwing
I think
logs?
These things everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is he throwing logs at your buddy's place or just kind of out in the woods? Or what did your buddy
He hears, there's woods all around his house, and he hears it. He don't see it throwing anything, but he hears it. And I guess he hears them slam to the ground and stuff, throwing big logs and stuff. And he screams. He says it's just an awful, ungodly scream. And now this guy, he knows what coyotes and mountain lions and all that stuff sound like. You know, fox. If you ain't never heard of fox, you'll say, what in the world is that? Mm-hmm. You know, a fox will make a wild scream. But no, he knows what they are. But this is a Bigfoot. And he said his wife will absolutely not go outside at night by herself.
I can't blame her at all.
They got woods all around the house. That's what's going on at his place.
Sure. Can't blame her at all. How far is he from your place, Roger?
As a crow flies, he's probably about 4 miles from me as a crow flies.
Oh, that's not far at all.
Straight.
And how?
But he wasn't. But my wife used to take care of. My wife's a CNA, and she used to take care of this old lady that lived about a mile from him. And those Bigfoot would come down there. I did an aerial view on the computer over her property, and I wanted to see how much woods was behind her. And it's probably 2 miles deep and probably 2-3 miles wide. Nothing but woods, no homes, nothing. And they keep, my wife will work down there, they keep somebody around the clock pretty much looking after this woman. And this woman had a big house, and she had one room on the side of the house that she kept full of snacks. Bags of popcorn, chips, cookies, and all that kind of snack room, you know. And there would be, my wife said it'd be 2:30 in the morning, there'd be something at that window going whoop, whoop, making a whooping sound. And I said, that's what they do. They make sounds like that.
Absolutely.
And this other girl, this other girl told my wife, you know, she'd work third shift down there some nights, and they can't smoke in the house. So they go out on the carport to smoke. And she told my wife, she said, I was out there smoking a cigarette, and she said, I heard something breathing real hard and something growling. And said it scared me. She's afraid to go back out there anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, who can blame her? Anytime, I mean, those are typical sounds, too. Last deer season, that's exactly what we heard. and extremely loud. You can tell that these creatures have a massive lung capacity and vocalization capacity that far exceeds a human. You just know it's not a human produced sound.
I've heard it twice myself.
So did these, talking about your neighbor here that's hearing these sounds, did this just start occurring, or had this been going on?
I don't know. We talked on the phone. I was going to go by his shop and look at some guns and stuff, and he started telling me that I was on the phone. I said, well, you got a Bigfoot around there is what you got. Because, I've told him about my what-off weapon happened at my house, and he believes me, because, see, I'm straight up. I'm a Christian man. I'm an evangelist. I'm straight, live by the Bible, and I'm straight up, and that's why I'm not ashamed. If I tell somebody about Bigfoot and they look at me like I'm crazy, I ain't going to lose no sleep over it. I know what I've seen. If they don't believe it, well, that don't bother me. But I was thinking a while ago, Lance, these things are continually breeding. And they're having babies, Bigfoot babies, and they're continually breeding. Their population is growing. They're not being hunted. They're not being killed off like deer and eliminating them down.
Right.
They're continually growing.
Right.
And I've listened to a lot of videos and stuff, because after this, I found these tracks, I jumped in it head first on the computer. It seems like to me the sightings are getting more and more and more. What do you think on that?
Well, yes. It's one of those things where we know that government agencies, as an example, and state agencies, they're just fighting fires. They're not the first to get there or see anything or do anything. We're the first to see things and do things. And I say we are in the sense that everyone that is an eyewitness, everyone that encounters these things, whether on a highway, a dirt road, an alleyway, on the outskirts of a small town, we're the first to encounter these things. And if people... so agencies, obviously, we've said this many times, they have known about these for years and years and years. And there'll be two reports. There'll be the real report and then the fake report. The fake report is written as to not jeopardize that person's integrity and the position they hold in that law enforcement role. As far as getting directly answering your questions, sure. I mean, if you leave any creature or an animal alone, there's no season, so to speak, and there's no... they don't have a direct predator against them, and they're left to flourish, then it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Their numbers will increase. There'll be more encounters. I know Dave and I, we've talked about this, that there is certain agencies, possibly, we have been told, that is working on countermeasures to secure and control number populations. I'm going to ask Dave here and see what he thinks here.
Roger?
Yes, sir. Good to talk to you, Dave.
Good to talk to you. Lance and I, we've been discussing this for quite a while. You say this thing, what does it have a basic time that it shows up at your house? I mean, is it a time to pin it down?
It's usually been coming around of a night time. So when it comes around, and it
right,
will tap on your house of a night.
Right, comes around at night, but I mean, like, can you pinpoint the time? Is it like is it about the same time every time?
Well, no. One night I was at the end of my house and I was down praying, and something was tapping on the side of the wall outside on that very bedroom wall. And this is before I ever found the tracks, and I thought, man, somebody's messing around. We got a prowler or something. So I go outside and look around and don't see nothing, and then next thing I know, a little bit, about 10 minutes later, I see two sheriffs coming through the neighborhood. So I get in my vehicle and go down there, and I said, hey, something's tapping on my house up here. He said, we've had some reports. And he said, same thing. He said, we're going to be in the area for a while. They'll check it out. But it usually comes around at nighttime. And, but this, what I told y'all a while ago about, I've seen it out there in the woods, in the edge of the wood line. Now that's the first time I've had that's the first time I ever seen one of them creatures. I just been finding tracks. But to answer your question, it comes around of a night and it taps on the house.
Yeah, okay. Well, what I was going to say, if you say your buddy lives about 4 miles away?
Yeah. It's usually about around 2 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, 4 o'clock is usually when it's, most of the time when it's tapping on the house.
All right. Does it come around like, does it know what side those little kids' side of the house they sleep in? Is it
well,
to their
it
area?
knows what room. It knows what room you're in, and yes, it will come to the room you're in, and it will tap on the side of the wall, and that night something scratched on my window. It's right there. It knows where I was at. And my neighbor across the street, he don't have any kids. It's just him and his wife, and it knows where their bedroom was that they were in, and it was clawing on their bedroom window. It happened 2 nights in a row. So it knows where you're at in the house.
Yeah, that's what. Well, that guy that I know here in Oklahoma, the CJONABI, Mike Humphrey, he had the same problem. It would come right to the window.
Yeah.
It knew where his kids were. It knew where he was all the time. But what I'm thinking, what you need to do is, if you can, you need to rig you up some high-powered lights and make a central switch where you can get to that switch in a couple places in the house. So when you throw that switch, they'll all come on at once. And if you could ever be on that rooftop, you might have to do a little stakeout. But if you and your buddy could be on the rooftop, and you can work those lights and catch him in them lights, you can put the deterrent on him. And if that don't work, when you light him up the next time, you can light him up with something else.
I gotta figure out some way to get him. Because it's like this right here. I ain't going out in the woods and bugging him. You know, he's coming to my place and he's bugging me.
Well, I think.
And I got 2 little kids.
Yeah, I think
so. I'll just be honest with you. Some people don't believe in shooting these things. I catch a thing in my yard, I'm gonna bust it. And I see that it ain't no man. It's this thing I seen the other day. It was too big to be a man. Well, no man, no suit. It was too big to be a man.
Did you get a look at the face, or was it dark?
Yeah.
It was dark. Yeah, one thing you need to do, go down to one of your sporting goods stores there and get you about a 2 million power handheld spotlight. That's one of those Charger models. I think this one I got is, I think Cyclops is the one that builds it. It's a pretty good light. It's pretty powerful. But if you got one of them where you can hit that sucker, you hit them in the face with that, it knocks out their night vision. And they can't see. They're not going to be able to see for about 15 minutes. You know, you and your buddy need to get you...
Kind of like blind spotting a deer, ain't it?
Well, yeah, but you and your buddy need... These things operate. That's how they work at night with that night vision. But if you and your buddy can work some kind of a system here where you can help each other, you can probably run them off. But I don't know how long it's going to work. But if they're persistent and they come back, then the next thing you're going to have to do is go to Plan B, and that's going to involve lead. Yeah.
Oh, if I catch it in my yard, I'm going to shoot it.
Well, the only thing
I'm going to shoot it because I can, all I know about these things is what I've learned on the internet. I've listened to you before, and I can tell by listening to you, you got a good knowledge of weapons, and you know how to take care of yourself. And the story you told about that dog man and everything, when you was out coyote hunting, that was the bomb. That was good. I really liked listening to that, really did. But see, I'm just a truck driver, and this stuff just started happening here in 2014, finding tracks. And it's getting more and more, and now he's starting to come around. I believe he knows that I seen him. I believe he knows that I seen him.
Well, the thing about these things is, though, they're like I'm sure if your kids are outside, if those kids are in that yard, they're concealing themselves and they're watching you.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah, he's out there watching. Yes, sir.
You cannot leave those kids unattended. Not for 1 second.
That's what I told them. Yeah.
Hey, Roger,
That's what I told my wife.
has the kid said anything in private to you, or just joking or inquisitive or curious that they've seen anything or heard anything, or any taps on the windows or anything while they're playing outside to you?
No, these little kids I take care of, when they fall asleep, you couldn't wake them up. They sleep through anything, man. When the clock goes off in the morning, I got it wide open. When it goes off, don't nobody wake up with me.
Okay. And so they've not said that
they sleep through it. Yeah, but I'm a light sleeper, you know. Like one morning I was laying there, and I started to hear something go tap, 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 tap. And I woke up. I got up. My wife's in that refrigerator. I said, "You making a knocking noise?" She said, "No, I hear something knocking." So I checked the front door. It's a moonlit night. It was January the 1st, 2015 when it was. And it was about 4:45. And so I checked the back door, opened it up, looked outside, didn't see nothing, and then I closed the door back. And then I heard a scream. Now, I know what the name of that scream is now because they call it the Ohio call or something like that. It's like a siren call. That's what I heard out there. It was up behind my niece's house to my right. And that thing screamed like it wasn't afraid of Jack, like it was a king of the woods. It gave a long bellowing scream. It sounded like a combination of a Tarzan yell and an elephant screaming.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the siren call. They call it the Ohio call. Is that it?
Yes. It's a
That's
sustained
what I heard.
call.
Because I got on the internet and I pulled up sounds that they make, and I found that call, and they call it the Ohio call, something like that. That's exactly what I heard the first time I ever heard it scream at my house. And then this past May, back in May, no, it was May a year ago, I got up to go to the bathroom, 3:35 in the morning. And back behind my house, you know, the land's flat out through there, in those woods and stuff. And I heard something give out a long howling sound. And then I heard something go, boom, boom, like it took a big rock and hit a tree. And then it, like two real hard thuds. And then it made that same call again. So that's the two times that I've heard it. And then one night, two befores, it was about 10 o'clock. And I thought, you know, I've seen that on that show, Finding Bigfoot, Wood Knockers. I'm going to try that. I took two befores, they're both about 2 foot long. I held them up over my head, and I popped them together like 2-3 times. But pop, pop, real hard. And when you hit wood like that of a night, I don't know, for some reason of a night, it would just carry a long ways. Then I listened. It wasn't 5 seconds over in this little mountain ridge to my right. Something went pop, pop. It knocked back. And I've had people say, "Oh, that's probably echo." No, it wasn't an echo. It knocked back. And then one other time I did a wood knocking, and my dogs are tied to the back of my property. They jumped up on their hind legs, and they were looking to the right because something up there in the woods moved. When I did that wood knocking, something up in there moved, and them dogs had a pit bull, Siberian husky, and another husky dog, and they, German Shepherd, and they jumped, stood up on their hind legs going wild because they seen something move. So I don't know what that was because they didn't see it, you know. But like I say, I like to be prepared, and I've got, Dave, I want to ask you a question.
All right.
All right, I've got biggest bolt action gun. I got 7 mag, I got 270, and I got a 444 Marlin, and did have a 30-30, but I updated. I got me a 35 Remington Saturday. Have I got enough? Will either one of them rifles take out that rascal?
Oh yeah, 7 mag will do him in. But what you need right there at the house, you got a good 12 gauge.
I don't. I had a shotgun a while back, Mossberg. They're just a short range thumper.
That's all you need because you want that close in. You need that close in. That's what you need to protect your house if it's up next to the house. You need like a Mossberg 500 riot gun with a, you know, if you can extend the magazine on it and then load you buckshot slugs. And then, that's the last ditch effort. If it tries to come in the house, that's what you want. You want to be using that on him. But the thing on these, the reason why these things do this is because nobody does any countermeasures against them. See, they haven't been shot at. They think you're not going to do anything. And if you know, I wouldn't be living there. I mean, if I was living there, they'd already be dead because I wouldn't put up with that harassing my family. That'd be it. And that's what happened to Mike Humphrey. He got tired of it and took care of the problem. But, is it just you, your wife, and the 2 little kids?
Yeah.
You need to get you some buddies around up there and do some, you're going to have to do some late night stakeouts to where you can try to catch these things in the act.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I got one friend. He lives up in Cana, Virginia. See, I ain't too far from the Virginia line. He lives in a little town called Cana, and he's heard them whistle overnight. And he's got a bloodhound dog. He keeps it in the house, and he'll take the dog outside of night. He said when that Bigfoot thing comes around, he said that dog wants back in the house awful bad. He gets real irritated, agitated. He wants back in. He said he's heard it whistle.
Well, these guys will tell you can't kill it, you can't shoot it. With the 7 mag, that's just right there with a 300 Win mag.
Yeah, I target shoot a lot out here in the backyard. I'll tell you what I got. I got a big old oak stump to stop the bullets, and I've set me up plastic bottles and things. I'll get back 50 yards or so away, and I shoot, and I'm shooting in directions where I ain't going to hit nobody in the house or multiple play. So I do it safe. Been doing it for years. And I got really good at target shooting. And I'm sure this thing sees me shooting in my yard, and it knows that I got a rifle,
Yeah, they probably do. But what you need to do, though, like I said, if you can get you some light position around there where you can hit those lights and blind him, and, try that first. Just try to run them off. And if they won't, if they're persistent and just keep it up and keep harassing you, then you'll have to go to Plan B. But if you get your buddies together and make sure you got your plan well executed, where you know what to do.
Yeah.
You want to shoot one of these things. You want to shoot them low in the solar plexus and the knees, with a shotgun. Take out their knees and take out their lower solar plexus, and then go to work on it with that 7 mag. Right.
Yeah. My neighbor, there's a lady moved in. There's some girls. I think I told this on last episode, but I don't know if you know this or not. I heard it. But there's some girls, about 3-4 young girls, moved in across the street here about a year ago. And I walked over there with them. I took them pictures and tracks over, and I thought, they need to know what's going on in the neighborhood, I walked over and I told them, I said, look, don't you see this? Don't you know what's going on around here? Found these tracks in the yard, blah, blah, blah. And I said, and this thing comes around and tap on your house. And that girl looked at me like if you throw a cold glass of ice water in her face. She said, something's been tapping on their house. And she said, we had to put motion lights up on the back of the house. Said, something's been tapping on their house a lot. And so, all them girls stand over there, and that thing, he must like women because a bunch of girls over there, and he's tapping on their house.
I'm going to say this, Roger, and I'm going to probably take a lot of heat for it, but these things are not your friend, okay? And everybody,
no, I don't believe they are
thinks,
either.
oh, they want to sit down and they want to have coffee with it, and they want to go to Taco Bueno and have dinner and all that kind of stuff. You'll end up dinner is what'll happen. These things they're not your friend. They're not people. They're a wild animal, and when it's an intelligent wild animal, and when a grizzly bear, if he finds food and he's got him a honey hole where he can get some food real easy and don't have to work for it, he's gonna come around every night when he's hungry. Now,
he will.
These things have an urge around little children and women. So, what I'm saying is you need to get your buddies together. Try the subtle approach first. See if you knock out his night vision and let him, you surprise them a couple of times, they may go on and leave you alone. But if they don't, you're going to have to go to Plan B.
I've got some really high-powered flashlights or tactical lights. I've got one that's 1,400 and then I got another one 600, and they'll like the whole backyard up.
Well, the thing of it
I'm
is,
gonna
though,
check in out what you said about that million
Right.
light, 2 million light.
You need somebody. You need somebody designated to hold the spotlight. They got to be the light guy. You need somebody that can run that light if you're going to have to shoot. And that's what, because I mean, when you start shooting, you need to make sure it's just one time. And I mean, Lance and I are not. We're not going out into the woods or trying to tell everybody to arm up here and go Bigfoot hunting. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to go out there and see how many we can kill. But when they start coming around your place at night,
that's it.
And they're harassing your family, you can't be safe there. So you've got to do something to take care of the problem.
You're exactly right, because like I said a little bit ago, I ain't going out in the woods and bugging his house, and messing with him. He's coming to my house.
Well, I can tell you something else.
I got 2 kids to think about.
I can tell you something else, too. These law enforcement guys, they know they're there. They know.
I think that the wildlife people know they're there, too. I think they know it.
You damn right they know. They know they're there. These people tell you that. They've been told to tell people it's a wives' tale. Tell people it's a
See, I sent these pictures of these tracks to a biologist. He works this county I live in. He works at North Carolina Wildlife. He's a biologist. I ain't gonna name his name, but I sent them to him, and he calls me back 4 days later. He don't believe in Bigfoot, but from talking to him, these ain't bear tracks. He said the bear leaves the biggest print in the woods around here, and he said they're 7 inches long, about 5 wide, and it leaves claw marks. He said that what you got ain't got no claw marks, and he says whatever left made them tracks sure did have some weight.
Did you take
I
a picture
estimate
of that
the look
track?
at them probably 600 to 800 pounds, and he says if you find any more tracks, you got my number, call me. That's what he told me.
Well, what I would do is I would, like I said, I'd sit down and think this out just a little bit. I'd get it well executed. Hook you up, get you some of these high-powered spotlights like you can get down at Home Depot and wire, set them around your house, but you want them about 8 or 9 feet high up on the eaves of the house. Maybe even set them. Take your board and tack them down to your shingles and point them down off the top of the roof. And then when they're doing that, you can surprise them with that light. When you hit them with that light from in the house, you're going to see it. If they run away, you're going to see what you got. So I mean, and then
I'll leave my gun cabinet unlocked of a night, and I got a bullet sleeve on my 444 with bullets in the sleeve.
Well, you need.
I sleep in that room where my gun cabinet is, because that thing comes tapping again. That way, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you're sleeping at night, let me tell you, don't worry about the gun cabinet. You sleep with that rifle. Keep it right there by you, where you can get to it. I mean, you don't need to be fumbling around with no gun cabinet. If it's trying to get in the house, you're going to have just a few seconds to do what you need to do. So,
well, I tell you what, to be honest with you, when I first found these tracks, it kind of, and I started going around the gun shop. So look, well, what is this? What is this? This bear? What is this? And they look at it, and their mouth drop open. They say, "No, there ain't no bear track." He said, "I ain't never seen nothing like it." And they called the other guys over there that was all around standing store. Look at this. Look at this here. They said, "No, there ain't no bear track." We ain't never seen nothing like it. I did sleep with the gun beside my bed there one night when I first got them tracks.
Did your wife know how to shoot?
She shot. I've let her shoot 30-30 a little bit, but no, it's on me. I'm gonna have to,
Are you there most of the time?
I'm gonna have to do like you say. I'm gonna have to get me a game plan up, because this thing is smart.
Oh yeah.
I got to get me a game plan.
Well, you think about why it's tapping, and I think that Wiley Dave's onto something, Roger, is that, when something is tapping, it's trying to get you to do something. It's wanting you to look out the window.
Come outside.
Come outside is the biggest thing. It wants you to come outside.
Yeah.
It's creating some type of a diversion, a noise to bring, and then you have to ask yourself, why is it wanting you outside? What is it going to do?
Yeah.
Is it wanting to isolate just you? Is it wanting to isolate your wife when you're not there? I mean, or a child? I mean, who knows? We don't know, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't do that unless it had a reason in mind. It's trying to get someone's attention to come outside to do whatever.
Well, I'll tell you something crossed my mind. I'd sit up late at night, and after all this happened, I found them tracks because I jumped in the head first. And I listened to Bigfoot sounds, and my computer's playing there, and I just wondered, by me sitting there playing that stuff late at night, if that thing can hear what I'm playing, them Bigfoot screaming and stuff over the computer.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it's out there in the woods and it hears that, and that's drawing it to my house too.
Well, let me tell you
something. About that.
That happened to old Tim Baker, old Coonbo Baker. You know who he is?
Yeah, I've listened to him a lot. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, he was playing one of them screams one night his computer was doing it, and it called in a big alpha male right behind his house, and he had hell that night at his place. He thought it was going to come in the house. He got down behind the counter with a shotgun, he said, because he thought the thing was going to come in. Don't be playing them sounds real loud where they can hear that, because it does draw them in.
Yeah, I thought about that. Yeah, that's crossed my mind. I thought, man, they might can hear this, and it's drawing them in, because I didn't realize what I was doing, because I was just educating myself,
Well, you got to stop. You got to stop and think about
these guys go out in the woods and do call blasting to bring them in, so that if they're hearing this, they're going to come into my place.
Well, exactly. You just need to put some earbuds in, or something that they cannot hear, because if they can hear you through the walls to know where you're at, where you're located in your home, you can bet they're hearing what's going on, music or sounds.
Now, Roger, I can tell you, if this thing persists and gets really bad, I can tell you a surefire way to take care of them, but we'll have to do it off the air.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Because I don't want to advertise some of the methods that I use, because they're a little bit not what you call real kosher. But I promise you, there won't be any problem after that.
Yeah, I've got to get me a game plan. Sure enough, I mean, I've got a trail camera. I've got one of it's a black flash. It's a Moultrie. It don't make no lights or nothing. You cut it on. Does good video and all that, but it's infrared, but a person can't see it working.
Right.
But animal can.
Exactly.
And so I've got it right. I'll tell you where I've got it. I've got it on my front porch. And if that thing steps around the end of my trailer house to come over here and scratch on my window again, he's going, just as soon as he steps around that end of that trailer, he's going to be on film. It's going to have it. And I got that thing turned on. That I put it here and there, but I guess that's about the best place. So when he steps around, then it'd be too late. He'll done be in the line of fire of that camera. But
yeah, that would be a sight.
The things are smart. They're stealthy. They're strong, fast, and all that. But man, there's just so many people don't believe this stuff. But if you move up in the country like where I'm at, like I talked to a woman down here in the store one day, and I was showing some people in there talking to people, showing them tracks, And that woman, I said something about, I've heard this thing scream. And this woman throwed her hand up. She said, I've heard it scream too. Mm-hmm. And she said, my brother or sister lives not too far from me.
Think about this for a second.
All the time.
Right.
You're telling me think about this for a second. You're telling me the things that's happening at your place, and you live in South Carolina?
Yeah.
North Carolina? And there's people all across the United States telling the same story, and you guys don't know each other.
No, I don't even know them. It's like the lady, I met her down here in the store, and she says, I hear it scream all the time. And she told me where she lived. She lives up a little bit north of me, on up the road a little more. And then she said my sister, her husband, they just live about 2 miles from me through the woods here. And they hear it a lot, too. And so a lot of people, I believe there's a lot more people's hearing it. They just ain't talking about it. Now, my neighbor lives right beside me. Her husband's a truck driver, and he runs long distance to California and back. And one night, when something was tapping on my house and stuff, I said, anything tap on your house last night? She said something See, she was there by herself, and she's got a little house dog. She's there by herself, and her boy was going to the beach. Her husband down the road trucking. She said something banged on my house all night long. She said, but I didn't go. I didn't go up to see what it was. But she said something banged on her house all night. So
yeah,
she's
that
there by
banging,
herself.
that banging about one
she's
time.
She's there by herself, that little dog.
About one time of that banging, there'd be something else banging. They'd find him out there, and that's where he'd be laying.
But you know what? Sometimes, like, I've got dogs. Sometimes when that thing comes around and goes to tapping, the dogs don't make a sound.
Well, no,
I think the dogs are scared or something. They don't make a sound.
Dogs that bark around these things don't live very long. Because, see, they don't like anything that gives them away. That lets you know they're out there, see. But I'm telling you, I can tell you how to set up an early warning system to where they can set off a tripwire to let you know inside your house that they're on the approach before the lights ever have to come on, and you can get ready.
You reckon they'll fall for that, or they
ain't gonna
step
fall for it?
over
They ain't gonna see it. Come on, man, we're dealing with an animal here. We're not fighting the Viet Cong. These things.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to start me a new business, going around setting up perimeters for these people. I'm telling you right now that you can do this with you and your buddy. If you play this game right, you'll get pictures of them. You'll get probably some pretty clear pictures.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to get some real good pictures of them. I don't want none of them blurry kind.
Well,
I want to.
If they don't go away, then you'll end up having to shoot. But here's another thing. Lance is going to tell you the same thing I'm going to say. If you have to shoot one of these, you don't get on the phone and start calling people. Don't start taking pictures and send them all over the countryside.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
Right. You keep it quiet until you can get your buddies over there where you guys can get the thing secured, and then you can figure out what you're going to do with it.
Well, let me tell you this. I talked to a guy down the store one day, I showed him them tracks. He's just an old country boy. He does logging and paints cars and stuff like that. He's out in the woods a lot, does logging. He said, I went coon hunting with this old boy one night and said he had some of the biggest, meanest coon dogs you ever seen. He said, I was kind of scared of them things. They took them out in the woods up next to a creek, and they got the scent of something. And he let them out of the box. They come out of the back of that truck, out of them dog boxes. They tore off upside that creek, upside that little mountain, and said a few minutes later, they come back and they sailed into the box and would not come out. They were scared to death.
Yeah, well, that area you live in has been plagued with stories for years, hasn't it, Lance? Forever.
Yeah, it has.
I'm right here in Mount Airy, North Carolina, right off of Highway 77 South, and that's the nearest interstate. It's just about 3 miles down the road from me. And as a crow flies, I'm about 3 miles or 4 miles from the Virginia line.
Well, these things are in every state. They're in all. The only state that I've never heard a report from is Hawaii. That's
what I've heard on.
So 49
that's
states,
what I
and
heard
then
too,
you can figure Canada up into Canada. But my dad had a ranch in Montana for 15 years, and my mom tried to tell me she thought she heard some moose down there one night at the pond, and it wasn't no moose; it was a Sasquatch. Because they didn't live too far from right there where old Brian Sullivan does some of his research work.
Yeah. I know a guy here in Mount Airy where I live. He's an ex-deputy sheriff. I ain't going to mention his name, but he's an ex-deputy sheriff, and he has seen Bigfoot. And he shot at one with a .40 caliber handgun, but it was too far away. He didn't hit it. So he told me, he said, he's seen the thing, and it was tall and black, and he was walking up into the woods. And he fired some shots at it, but he didn't hit it. But a friend of mine I went to high school with, he took this old girl parking in the graveyard. And it's highly, heavily wooded area. I mean, for miles and miles and miles of wood. Took old girl in there parking, and then after they got to smooching and doing whatever they're doing, she raised up, she looks, and she said, well, Mike, we're parked in the graveyard. She kind of thought that was disrespectful, She said, well, here we are in the graveyard, fooling around that thing. And he started making jokes that just a bunch of old dead people. And he had a 73 Z28, and it's got kind of a square front end on it. They're kind of square.
Mm-hmm.
And he said all of a sudden, now this guy's straight up. I know him since high school. He's a good dude. He's straight up. He tells you something, you can believe it. He's not a liar. He said, Roger, he said, all of a sudden the back end of my car come straight up off the ground, and we was looking at the ground through the windshield. And he said that girl screamed and grabbed me, and he said I jumped up under the wheel, and he said when I fired it up, the car dropped to the ground. He said I tore out there. Wow. Now, let me tell you this. Right out the road from that cemetery, back when I was 16, 17 years old, me and a buddy of mine, I went to school with another buddy of mine, was out looking for women, you know. You know how you are when you're young, all you got on your mind is girls. We was out, you know, looking for girls. And I was dozing off to sleep over there. And the road then, it was called Dolph Cemetery Road. It was a gravel road then. And I started dozing off to sleep, and all of a sudden, the car started going crazy. He's locking it down. And, you know, you got one any speed at all, and you lock it down the dirt road, they're going to slide and everything. And my friend Don, he's screaming, hollering, did you see it? Did you see it? And I said, what? See what? As he was coming up to the stop sign, this is his exact words. This is in 1971 or 72. This is his exact words where he said, a gorilla run past the stop sign in front of me into the woods on the left. And he said it was black, and he said it was taller than the stop sign, and the stop signs are good, around here, I'll say they're good 8 feet tall. He said it was taller than the stop sign, and his hands hung plumb to its knees. I didn't see it, you know, but he was coming to the stop sign, and the thing run across the front of him, and he locked it down, I guess, keep hitting it.
I bet that shook him up.
That was about 12 o'clock at night,
Well, Roger, think about something here for a minute. Ask yourself this question, okay? What purpose do these things actually serve?
I don't see of any purpose that they serve. I mean, they're not doing...
Right.
My question is, Dave, where did the... You know, I read the Bible and stuff about them could possibly be Nephilims and stuff like that, and I've showed these pictures, these tracks to my preacher where I go to church at. You know, I'm an evangelist, but I go to church at the same place all the time, and he's an old fella, and he's a good man. And I told him, you know, talked to him about, you know, about in the Bible and everything, about the fallen angels having sex with women and everything, and all this and that. He said, the Bible has some gray areas. It don't come right out and just explain everything to the detail. He said, but if that's the case, this thing is half demon. And that might be why it's so elusive. They can't catch it. You know, the way it is.
He's right.
Because it's half demon. And so...
well, you get a lot of these people out there, like Lance said, they think they're the lost tribe or the missing link, or they want, you know, that, they're a tribe of people, you know. Well, the Native Americans had hell with these things back during the 1800s and stuff. If you go back and read the accounts and stuff, I mean, they had terrible times with these things. So now we've got more of them. There's a lot more of them, and there's been more than me and Lance thinking about the way this has come about. You think about it, there's not anybody out there. I mean, hunting, you know, pressure's not like it used to be. And
they don't do it.
They've got ample facilities to get all kinds of farm animals, and you know, they can get in the summertime, they can get any kind of free groceries they want out of these farmers' fields. You know, they can take livestock anytime they want, and you know, there's getting to be a bunch of them that we know they've killed people, but I got some pretty good information from a guy that I know that said they're working on a way to thin their numbers.
Yeah,
so they know.
Well, you know, we really don't know how many of these things that they are. You know.
Yeah, they always prey on somebody that's either by themselves or they're weak. You know, might be an older person or a small child or a woman, but when it's a couple of guys with high powers, they tend to shy off a little bit.
Yeah. They're multiplying, and like I say, we don't know how many there is. And they've got night vision. They can sit back in the woods and watch, and you don't know how good their vision is, how far they can see or what, or smell or what. You know, I just know from what I've learned, listening to the computer of other people's experiences. But I'm going to tell you something. I've listened to so many videos, and these people I've listened to don't even know one another. They're from different parts of the country. But still yet, all of them's testimonies are consistent with one another. So these people, you know, they're seeing these things.
Exactly.
And when I seen that thing out there the other week, Lord have mercy, it was too big to be a man. He had legs big around his telephone pole.
Yeah, there's a picture floating around on. Well, it came out on Facebook. A guy showed it to me at work, and I think you seen it, didn't you, Lance, for that one walking away?
Right.
Yeah, the thing looks like it's from behind it looks like a grizzly bear. It's real big, but the legs on that thing were thick. It looked like to me about as big around as a garbage can. You know?
Yeah,
but I mean, something like that. When Mike Humphrey killed the one he had to shoot, they had to shoot it he shot it from behind in the back, and he killed it with an SKS. And he put up with over a year's worth of harassment before he finally decided to take matters into his own hands. But I mean, you can't let them run your life. You can't let them run you out.
Well, I'll tell you what, my brother told me. My brother believes in. I got one brother that don't believe in him. Then I got another brother that does. And he told me this is the first time he ever found out anything about Bigfoot. And he's about 15 years old. They were inner tubing. Them small fellas was inner tubing. They come around this bend, the curve in the creek. And they said there was these humongous footprints on the bank. Something had just come up out of the water and made these humongous tracks, and it went into a cave. So they seen them tracks, and they got off the inner tubes, got up on the bank looking at them, and they said, my goodness, they was amazed how big they was. It looked like human tracks, big. And it led into that cave. And that one man, he was much older than my brother. He's already grown. He said, if I had me a flashlight or something, I'd go in there. Well, that's the first episode that happened to my brother. The next episode happened to him. He said, Roger, I've been out in the woods hunting. The way he hunts, he'll just hold his rifle and walk around real still through the woods. And he'll go way out in the woods. He said, Roger, I've had rocks thrown at me and land right at my feet. In 3 different locations I've been in hunting. I've had it happen all 3 times. And he said, I said to myself, who in the world is out here in the woods throwing rocks at me? Because he's by himself, So it's got to be that thing, Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's typically what they'll do. If you get too close to them or their area, nicely, they'll start throwing things. Rocks, pine cones, branches, sticks, acorns, things like that. That's just for you to question exactly what he did. Who's out here? What's throwing things at me? And but that's a little close. Basically, that's just a little bit of a mild warning. You're too close to me. I need you to back off.
And see, every one of these.
But I tell you what, there's one lives over here. There's a little town near me, about 15 miles near me, called Elkin, North Carolina. And my wife used to work over there too, take care of this old woman. And there was one over there lived in them woods, and it knocked on that house. My wife worked over there several years, and they kept women around the clock, all 3 shifts, taking care of this old lady's bedpass. And I tell you what. Some people say these things move around. They're on them all the time on the go. Well, this one over there wasn't, because it was at that house every night, and it would bang on that house every night. And one night my wife called me. She said, boy, that thing's knocking hard tonight. And I went over there one night, and she told me where all it had been knocking. So I went out there at the corner of the house where the picture window was. It's a brick home. And she said it was knocking at the corner of that window. And I found tracks. They had bushes planted. And then they had red soil. They was planted in red soil. And I found tracks right there at the corner of that window where my wife told me things knocking. And they was about probably 7 or 8 inches wide and probably about 13, 14 inches long. And they was in the soil there. And this other lady, I stayed there with my wife until the other lady come to take her place. And I said something to her about, you ever hear anything knocking out here every night? She said, oh, Lord. She said, something knocks on this house every night. But see, she thinks that it's that woman's dead husband. His ghost, is knocking. That's what she thinks. But it's not. It's Bigfoot. Right. But my wife seen it over there. She was washing dishes one day and looking out the window, and the wood line ain't about 100 foot from the back of the house. And she said she'd seen something big and tall and black, massive. Just leaned right up against a tree and just watching her. And she made eye contact with it. She seen it. Then when she turned her head to the right just a second, she went back to look at it again. It was gone. But then she seen it another day. It took off running through the woods. And she got a good look at it. She said it looks like a gorilla. What she said it looks like to her. It looks like a gorilla. And she was out there cleaning her car out one day on the carport, and the wind was blowing from the woods up towards her, and she said she had a strong sensation that something was watching her. And she said she smelled the smell of pee, a real strong smell of real stinky urine. It was just real strong. And then one day, across the street in front of the house, she said something was breaking tree limbs. It was popping and cracking and snapping. It was tearing them trees up. And she said, I'm going to walk over. She called me on the phone. She said, I'm going to walk over here. I'm going to see what it is. And I said, no, don't do that. Don't go over there. And this is broad daylight. It's busting limbs over there. And I told her not to do it, so I talked her out doing it.
No, you tell your wife, no, absolutely not.
I appreciate her gumption, but that, she doesn't need to do that.
She'll come out missing.
Yeah, that's not good. I wouldn't even attempt that. Just to have her stay away from that. Stay inside.
Roger, go find you a 12-gauge shotgun. You get
it's like 12 gauge with slugs or buckshot or something.
Yeah, just about a 24-inch barrel would be good. Something you can handle real quick there in the house, and it'll shoot out there 50 yards in the front yard. Get you some.
Oh yeah, I have one that. Yeah, it shoots 50 yards, no problem.
I promise you.
I may get me another one of them, just to have it. I tell you something about a couple of years ago. My wife had a car. She wasn't driving no more, and we just had it parked right there at the end of the driveway, at the end of the trailer. And she bought something else. She wasn't even driving it. She liked the car, but she wasn't driving. And you know how the light can be shining like a moonlit night or something like. Well, I walked out the side, and I thought I seen a head. Something crouched down on the other side of the car, and where the light was shining, I thought I seen a round head through the door glass, like something. And I got kind of scared, man. Like a fear hit me. I felt like something was on the other side of that car. And where the light was, and I was afraid to go around there, man. I had no gun or nothing in my hand or nothing, And so I felt like something was crouched down the other side of the car, and I seen its head.
When's the last time you seen this thing?
Well, he just saw it. When did you see this? A few days ago? What day was this again, Roger?
It was June. When I seen the thing, the first time ever, I seen it June 18th. It was around on Sunday evening. It's this Sunday week ago. June 18th, I said around 7 or 7:30. I went out and sat down on my back porch, just playing with my rifle, looking through my scope, just, looking at stuff, and zeroing in and stuff. I got it, pretty powerful little scope. It ain't the best of the best, but it was a 4x12 by 40, what it was. 4x12 by 40.
That's all you need.
And I was looking across the cow pasture and everything, and I seen that thing. Like I said, when I lifted my head up, I was looking towards the woods. First thing I seen this black thing, and I seen it lift its knee up and placed that foot. And when it placed that foot, it just glided right behind the tree, and it's completely out of sight. And I thought, oh my goodness! Took my gun up, I took my scope out, looking, want to see if it's moved. And like me and you was talking the other day, Lance, that's what's making these tracks around here, because it had a big old foot. I seen it lifted up and planted.
Hey, Roger.
It planted it in behind that tree, and then it was gone.
Right.
Roger, you're not going to be. You need to pay close attention to what I'm fixing to tell you. You do not need to be ever without that rifle. You hear me? Or a shotgun.
Oh, I don't go in the woods. I don't go in the woods without a rifle.
I'm talking about if you're walking around outside in your front yard. You live in the country, right?
Yeah.
All right. You need to have that gun on you at all times. You need some kind of a weapon on you at all times, because the time they're going to try to catch you is when you got your pants down and you ain't got your gun with you.
Yeah.
You're right. What kind of handgun do you have?
I don't have one. I've thought about getting one. I've looked at a 44 mag.
That's a good one.
I've never shot one, but a friend of mine told me, said, boy, you better have a hold of it, because it keep.
Yeah, I'll shoot a 44 Magnum, and Lance has got a 500 Smith. That'll get it done.
Oh yeah, I've seen them now. I know they got one over here in the gun shop. That's a big gun, but that 44 would kill one, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. But the thing of it is, there's a lot of things that'll kill one, but you got to have it on you. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to live like back during the 1800s, man, when ranchers went outside. When they stepped out that door, that rifle went with them.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to have to do, sure enough. See, my neighbor across the street, I was over there talking to my neighbor, and I told him about something clawing on my window. It sounded like claws. And I said, you see how that window is off the ground? And I said, it was clawing on that window. And he said, something been clawing on Aaron's window. And Aaron just had to be down there in his backyard. He lived next to him. He said, Aaron, come here a minute. And Aaron come up there, and I said, Aaron, something been clawing on your window tonight? He said, yeah, 2 nights in a row. He said, woke up one night. My wife woke up one night, 1:30 in the morning, said, Aaron, said something's clawing on the window again, right there on the window at their bedroom. And he described to me what it sounded like. It sounded like nails, like, claws. And he said, I went out there in my underwear. He just had got his concealed carry and all that, and been to all them classes and stuff. He said they showed me how to carry your flashlight and your gun. You have your flashlight pointing, and then you have your, showed me how to carry the flashlight and gun at the same time. He said, I went out there in my underwear. He said, well, whatever it was is gone. But he don't believe in Bigfoot or nothing like that. He knows about the tracks. He's seen the tracks. Some people, lightning's got to strike them before they believe it. One neighbor, I told him, I said, man, he was with me when I found the tracks. I said, man, you wouldn't believe in Bigfoot unless he kicked your door down and come in and grabbed you by the hair of the head, you and your wife, and drug you off. I said, that's what it takes for you to believe in.
Well, they've done that.
But I'm open-minded. You know what I'm saying? I'm open. It got me thinking. I've seen all the TV shows and stuff, and I was saying, I didn't really believe in it, because I never seen nothing like that. And I said, there's so much technology, sure that they'd call that with it now. But when I started getting these tracks in my yard, I started thinking. I says, well, I went around all the gun shops, and nobody could tell me nothing. So I had a Bigfoot investigator come down here. Got in touch on the internet. Had a Bigfoot. When I sent him the tracks, boy, he called me back up. He said, them tracks is good. He said, I'm sending somebody to your house. I said, I'll give you a number. And they coming down there. So they come down there, and they did their thing, investigating. They told me. I said, look, man. I'm a truck driver. Ain't never seen no Bigfoot. What is this? What are these tracks? He said, they're Sasquatch tracks. And he said they move overnight. They do everything overnight. And I said, well, you reckon they're still around here? He said, probably are. He said, all they need is water and cover to hide in, plenty of woods, and food. And I said, well, there's deer up here all year round. Basically eats deer. There's deer up here year round. And so But I have got to get me a game plan. I mean, because this thing is smart, and I'm gonna have to get me a floodlight, like what you said. I do need to get one of them, and I need to get my a game plan or something here.
Yeah,
I tell you what. I mean, if I see it in my yard, if I do see it in my yard, because it's got to go. I mean, like I said, I'm not trespassing on his turf and bugging him and knocking on his cave or wherever he lives and tapping on his house every night. He come to my house, and this thing, Bigfoot's got a lot of people buffaloed. Hey, I'll tell you this little story. I was in the cafe one day. I was working. I was in Knoxville, North Carolina. This guy sitting in there eating. We got to talking, you know. And he says, this old guy says, we was down in South Carolina one night hunting, real late at night, moonlit night. He could see and stuff. He said, I seen a Bigfoot, and he said that thing went up a bank, just about straight up. He said, you know. And he said that thing went up that bank like it wasn't nothing. Just went right up it. And he put the scope on it. He watched it. He seen what it looked like and everything. He said, I've told people about it. They don't believe it. He said, but I know what I saw.
Well, like you said, Roger, there's so many people from so many different backgrounds all across the country. Not everybody can be wrong. You know?
Yeah.
If you just, for a moment, knock out 80% and just say, okay, it was a misidentification, it was a bear, it was a big dog, or whatever you want to say, then that leaves 20% at least that did see something that is unexplainable, that terrified them, and so they're bewildered. It shook them up. They didn't know anything like this remotely existed. So, in agreement with you, it's they're out there, they are real, they do exist, regardless if a person has seen them or not. Many people have seen them, very, very close encounters, and most of the folks that you talk to that have had these close encounters wish they never had the encounter. So, well, I think we're going to go ahead and close this episode off here, Roger. I can't thank you enough, buddy, for being kind enough to follow up again and to always keep me informed on your end what's going on. And I
will. I'll keep you updated for real.
Please do that, and I appreciate you. You've got my number anytime, and of course I'll pass it on to the brothers and Wally Dave when I hear